Good Saturday afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's doing great today. Just over here at a house that I purchased that we're doing a flip job on. We've had we had a crew out here getting some work done over these past couple days. Past 2 days, went in the crawl space, put in a moisture barrier. I was checking that out. We've got to insulate under there. They just kind of cleaned everything up. It was pretty nasty. We got to put some new AC duct work underneath too, so that's what's going on. I was just checking out and getting material, going over the measurements for material to get that stuff ordered so we can hit that stuff hard next week. One of the things that we've been dealing with this week is people, is employees, is team members and all. And when you get of any size, that's something you're gonna have to deal with. And you need to deal with it quickly, meaning you need to have employees pretty fast. You're never gonna scale and grow this business if you do not hire. If you don't hire people. So you've got to get out there and hire. But that being said, we've been guilty of recently, there may have been a couple people we hired or we let slip by on stuff that in years past we wouldn't because we were short staffed. And I get on here on YouTube and, we tell everybody on how to properly run your business, but we make mistakes too. And that's one thing to always remember. We're still learning. We've been doing this a while, but we're still learning. We've built a great company, $2 million, we'll do $2.4 million this year. So we've built a fantastic business, but even then we're still learning. You always need to be learning. If you get to the point you're no longer learning, you need to get out of business because your business is eventually going to fail. Things always change. You got to keep up. Here's some things I'll tell you we've known for a while, some stuff we've adopted and used, and then some stuff I'll tell you kind of what we're going to start doing that we haven't done as well with in the past. One thing we've always been doing, or not always been doing, over the last couple of years, we always are hiring. So we've always got hiring opening. We're always doing interviews. Even if the hours aren't necessarily there, we're doing interviews. Because what we do is we interview those people. If we find really good people, if we're like, man, these guys, they don't have any criminal background, they're drug-free, they got a great attitude, a fantastic attitude. They're strong. They're going to be able to handle this type of work. We go ahead and hire them. We get them out there and get them started. And what we do is we treat it like a sports team. So we're looking for LeBron. We're looking for Steph Curry. We're looking for the superstars. And if we're able to assemble that team and we've got a limited amount of hours to give out, which to be honest with you, we grow a lot. I mean, we've hardly ever been at a point while we've been in business where we were overstaffed. It's pretty much always been understaffed because we're so busy. Every so often we might be in an overstaffed situation, but we're always understaffed. So like in January and February, the two slowest months of the junk removal year, that might be, maybe we get a little busy or a little slow, and some of these guys don't get as many hours, but they just kind of take advantage of it because they get worked so hard throughout the rest of the year. But we're always hiring. We always treat it like a sports team. So if your guys perform, the guys that perform get the hours. The ones that don't get the hours. Maybe you let them go. Maybe they just get so few hours that they quit. Whatever, but you got to reward those that perform. Experience doesn't matter. How long somebody has been with you does not matter. It's the results you're getting for me right now. What you did for us 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago does not matter. It's what are you doing for our company right now. And if you go through a kind of a down period of time, a period where you have an employee that isn't producing a lot, you need to meet with them. Be like, hey man, why is your production down? What's going on? Tell me what's happening. And it could be they've lost interest in the job. They're looking to do something else. They're not being challenged anymore, and that's fair. That's a good reason. And you just tell the guy, hey, I understand. Why don't you start finding something else to do? If you pick your pace back up to where you were, then you can keep working here and get out and look for another job. I'll work with you. When you need interviews, let me know. We'll make it happen. We'll have certain days off you can have during the week. We want to help these guys move on to a job that's going to work out best for them. When people generally want to leave, they're getting tired of their job. If you don't address that situation immediately, then they're going to hang around. A lot of people ain't ever going to leave for a while. And when they do leave, it's because they're going to get sick and tired of they're all of a sudden, they're going to get to the point where it's the last straw. Something on the job is going to challenge them. They're going to go through their last straw, and they're going to quit right off the bat instead of turning in a 2 weeks notice. So if somebody's performance drops off, you need to address it immediately and figure out what's going on, and they need to correct it pretty much immediately. If something's going on in their family, maybe they need a little time off. But when they're working for you, their production needs to be up, or you need to move them on. Treat it like a sports team. Always be hiring. If you're not always hiring, you can't treat it like a sports team. You don't have fresh talent coming in, fresh people coming in, and you're going to get in an understaffed situation. People's production is going to drop off. In this business, it's inevitable. It's just a matter of when. If somebody's staying on the truck team, when is their production going to drop off? Managerial position and office position, it's probably going to be a lot longer. I won't say never, but it's, at some point everybody will drop off. It might be 40 years and they're ready to retire. But with the truck team stuff, the majority of truck team work, about 2 years has been our average. Some guys a little bit less, a lot of guys a lot less. So when somebody is going lame, you need to recognize it. You need to meet with them. You need to try and correct it. If it can't be corrected, then y'all need to come up with a plan for them to find something else, or you need to let them go. One or the other. Remember, you got a business to run, and you got to get hard on some of these people. And it's hard to do. And does not come naturally. It's just a matter of over time getting screwed. Over time, people taking advantage of you. Over time, you realize you do stuff, you do favors for people, you loan them money, you get them off when they ask for off and everything, and all of a sudden they turn around and quit all of a sudden. So eventually you just hard up. You get hard, and I'm trying to tell y'all, go and get hard right at the start. Don't be like us. We were too lenient for far too many years. We had to go through all this personal experience before we got hard, and I'm hoping that y'all don't do that. I'm hoping I can provide a little bit of value that prevents y'all from having to go through some of the heartaches and headaches that we've had to go through over the years. You need to communicate areas of improvement constantly with your truck teams. If you're I'm sure you're noticing areas they can improve, and if you're noticing areas they can improve, that Justin, what's up, man?
What's up, man?
How you doing over there?
Oh,
If you're noticing areas that they can improve, you need to make sure you go ahead and address it immediately. What happens is they think they get away with it. They think you really don't care. Things kind of get worse and worse as things go along. So you need to make sure that anytime something's not getting done like you want to get it done, meet with them, address it, correct it, and move on. You'll find most people want that type of criticism. They want to know their job matters. So if you're not giving them any input, they don't know it matters. They just keep doing what they're doing. It gets worse and worse over time. Don't hire when desperate. This is something a mistake we've made often. We get short staffed, we go out and hire, and that gets corrected if you're hiring all the time. So if you're constantly hiring, then you're not going to have that issue as much where you're hiring when you're desperate. If you're desperate for help, if you got a really big job that you need to get done, look for contract labor. Don't go out and hire somebody or look to hire somebody on a temporary basis for this one job. If they work out, keep them long term, but don't go out and hire somebody and keep them long term just so you can keep up with one job or keep up with a busy spurt. Always be hiring and looking for great people, but don't lower your standards just because you're short staffed. Cameras, and this is something that we did for a while, and recently some of our cameras no longer work on some of these trucks. So in this type of work, you can't. It's not like you're managing people in a facility. You've got crews that are going off. You can't be where they are all the time unless you put cameras in. So get cameras in, have audio, have live feed. It's not cheap. It's a fair amount of upfront cost, and it's a decent amount of ongoing expense. But make sure you get it done. That way, you can have video evidence if somebody's stealing from you, if there's somebody's screwing around, they're slowing down so they don't have to do a job at the end of the day or get a job added. Get those cameras in those trucks. Have audio. Anybody that complains about having cameras in the vehicles are jerking off and screwing around. People that are doing the right thing, they value cameras because that forces all the people around them to do the right thing. So so the good guys aren't having to pick up all the slack that the bad guys from screwing around are creating. Fire quickly. This is something that a lot of people say hire slowly, this is a fairly common one actually. It's the saying is hire slowly, fire quickly, and that's 100% correct. So correct people when you can. If they're not learning, get rid of them. If they're if their standards, and even if it's just small stuff, if at the end of the job they're supposed to check in with dispatch, they're supposed to call you or call dispatch, and they're not doing it, then you probably want to get rid of them. Don't let the small stuff go. If they're tearing your trucks up, get rid of them. If they're not cleaning your trucks up, and they're supposed to be, get rid of them. So if you address it and they keep not doing it, you got to move them on, guys. You got to get kind of hard, or you're never going to be able to build anything of any value. One thing everybody's got to remember is 98% of what you do, and we did a video on this the other day, 98% of what you do is what's expected. You're meeting expectations on 98% of what you do. 98% of what your employees do should be meeting your expectations. If they ain't even doing the 98%, they shouldn't be working for you. But if they're doing the 98%, and then you got some people that are doing the extra 2%. You can have a few people that do the extra 2%. The people that do the extra 2% need to be rewarded by extra pay, hours, whatever. You need to have some sort of system in place so you can reward the people that are doing the extra 2%, because it's few and far between. Your workers are your image in this business. That's it. Your trucks are important to be clean and all, but that goes back to your workers. If your workers aren't doing the job, if your team members, employees are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, if they're working slow on the job, if they're overquoting jobs, if they're underquoting jobs, if they're stealing, if they don't have a good appearance, if they're not representing your company properly, they need to go. They're everything in your company, your entire company appearance, everything is your employees. Everything. If you hire your employees right, if you do a good job on hiring your employees, then you're going to be able to grow your company, because people are going to talk about it. They're going to refer you. They're going to review you. You're going to build up a great online reputation and a great reputation in the real world, where people are going to use you again and again, and they're going to let other people know about you. What can happen if you go through a really busy time? Remember I said, don't hire when you're desperate. Don't hire when you're extremely busy. If you do that, if you make that mistake, these people are not going to represent you well. Even though you might have the work, you're lessening the chance these people use you again. I would rather raise prices and get a little bit less work in order to have better people than have lower prices, more work, more people, but the people not be as good. And that's a mistake we've made, even up until recently. So you've got to make sure you're maintaining standards all throughout your company. Sometimes you get so busy and you just want to keep up. You 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 want to keep up. And you need to do your best to keep up. You need to hire. If you're constantly hiring, you should be able to keep up. Do what you can to keep up. But at the same time, do not let standards become slack and lax just because you're so busy. You got to maintain standards, and you got to still be able to do all the business that you get. One of the harder things is you need to do when you first start. All of us make the mistake of getting friendly with employees. You need to be professional with employees. You need to be respectful to all of your employees. A very respectful relationship. Don't become friends with them, for the most part. The only exception to that is if you've got guys, there's going to be a few guys, every so often you get a few guys that care as much about your company as the company they work for as you do. They care about you. They genuinely care about you. They want to do what's right. They always are willing to go the extra mile. Just like you're willing to do whatever it takes to make your company successful, these same people are willing to do that. If you find those people, you make them, you get them some ownership percentage, you give them a bonus to do with revenue, you keep them close, and those are people you can become friends with, and very, very close friends. That's not saying, like even relationships, we've all had relationships that have ended with us breaking up. You love that person tremendously at one point in time. People change, things change, circumstances change, and you wind up breaking up with them, and you could very well break up with these people, and it could be tough and it could be hard at that point, but those are the ones that's worth being friends with. The other guys are just out there collecting paychecks. Get them a paycheck, get them work, make sure you're holding, they're meeting your standards, but you don't get friends with them. You're respectful to them, but don't become friends. Very, very few employees are you going to find in junk removal they're going to have that sort of loyalty. When you get into other more other businesses that. And here's the number one rule on people. The reason you hire is to increase profits. The main reason is to increase profits. The only other reason you would hire is to reduce your dependence on yourself or on somebody else, to create a little bit of a safety net. But the most part, if you go out and you hire somebody, it's because you can make more money. It's because you can haul more junk, you can run more crews, you can run more trucks at the same time. You can't be out on all the jobs. You're hiring people to take, to take your place. and increase capacity. The reason you hire is to make more money. If you hire somebody and they're not making you money, they're not holding up standards, they're not leading to reviews, getting to customer reviews, to positive referrals, then get rid of them, can them. And, because they're there simply to make you money. So, hey guys, it's been Lee Godbold with Junk Removal Authority. Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the weekend. We will be, check us out at junkrA.com. We've got another great article on Google Ads management coming up. I'm gonna get back to work on this house and head back to the office, get a few more things done before ending the evening with my wife. So y'all have a wonderful afternoon. We'll be back before you know it. Thanks.